Welcome to the Weight Loss Summit in Menopause. Drop the diet struggle, find yourself, and get healthy where you can thrive with confidence in midlife. I'm Jennifer Patrick, the host of the summit, and today I have with me Ailsa Frank. So Ailsa is a British self-help author and hypnotherapist. She's been seen on the BBC One program, Haley Goes Sober, and is regularly featured in the press. She has helped thousands of people from all walks of life, including busy parents, CEOs, actors, and singers, to overcome their home and work life challenges. She is also well known for her Take Control of Alcohol hypnotherapy reduction system. Ailsa is the author of the international award-winning book, Cut the Crap and Feel Amazing, published by Hay House. She's a keynote speaker and globally sells her successful range of downloads on an array of topics now available in her Feel Amazing Mind Wellness app. So welcome, Ailsa, and we're happy to have you today.
Hello, nice to meet you. Yes, lovely.
And I love the topic of alcohol because we all like alcohol, and in midlife, you can't seem to tolerate it as well as you used to could tolerate it. So we're going to talk of just all things alcohol today. But first, tell us your specialty around alcohol is hypnotherapy. So can you tell us what hypnotherapy is, just to start?
Yeah, so we're all hypnotizing ourselves actually with our thoughts and the experiences that we have around us. So we're picking up information, and that goes into our subconscious mind, which is like a cupboard in the back of your mind, and it stores all your experiences, everything you've learnt. So hypnotherapy is a deep relaxation. We use techniques to access that deep part of your mind, and you can do two things. You can break bad habits, which is very useful, obviously, and also you can build good ones. So it's good for confidence. A lot of sports people use it. But it's really a deep relaxation, and the hypnotherapist guides you through the changes, planting suggestions deep in the mind and unlocking those habits that you want to release, like eating and drinking and smoking, those types of things.
Okay. And what is the success rate of it? Do you know?
It is very successful. I mean, the way I work with clients is I look at their whole life. So if somebody's wanting to work on alcohol, I actually look at all the elements going on around the alcohol, such as have they got teenagers that are stressful? Have they gone through a divorce or a heartbreak? Are they going through menopause? All the different elements. And then what I do is I work on everything. So it's almost impossible not to make changes because you're actually starting to sleep better, feel more relaxed, take on board the new changes. And everyone is hypnotizing themselves anyway. So it's just working with a client to know how best to access their part of their mind. But it's very safe, and you only make changes that you're ready for. And obviously you can listen to recordings as well, which is a great way of, going to sleep and just putting a recording on and making changes like that. So you can do it with a therapist, or you can do it using recordings.
And can you actually break, like me, I associate a glass of red wine with pleasure. Can you actually break that association?
Yes, easily you can. I mean, everything we're doing is a trigger to the next thing that we're doing. So what I like to do with clients is get them to actually change as much of their day as they can. So if you're normally in the kitchen at 6 o'clock, which is when you would drink, in the evening, be somewhere else. And by making lots of different small changes, you start to break that habit of then slipping into the alcohol, and also then replace the pleasure that you're getting from the alcohol with doing other activities. So a lot of people lose themselves, particularly by the time they get into their 40s and 50s. They've maybe just given their lives to careers or children or partners or whatever it might be, family. And so it's really about reigniting who you are, remembering what your hobbies are, your interests, and finding new ways to find pleasure. But first of all, it's, you can go back into the subconscious and maybe actually the alcohol started at a younger age, where that was that kind of younger, breaking free, rebelling against, you know, school or college or parents. And actually, so you can unlock that part as well, which often is where the pleasure thing's coming from. It's stimulating that old younger you. And actually, you can change the cravings so that you don't need the taste of the alcohol. The taste becomes something else. And that's the beauty of hypnotherapy. Actually, it's changing the taste. Your taste buds begin to change, and then you can just be more sophisticated, you know, an occasional wine connoisseur type of drinker, rather than an everyday drinker who might want that glass of wine a bit too regularly. So
one thing I've done before, there's something that costs 75 hard, and you take on all these habits at once, and one of them is for 75 days you don't drink any alcohol. So I managed to do it for 55 days. And then I think it was a holiday or a birthday or something, so I wanted a glass of wine. But one thing that I really noticed is that drinking is such a habit, especially if you're you like food. You like kind of mentally pair food with alcohol. So if you're having a nice Italian meal, you want a glass of red wine. How often do you find that when you work with people, the hypnotherapy helps, but when they actually stop the alcohol, they realize it's just a habit and not a physical craving. It's a habit.
I think there's two things. There is the chemicals of the alcohol. So obviously it is addictive, and over time you need more alcohol to satisfy you, which is why people in their 40s and 50s, predominantly my clients are in that age group. But I think the other thing is it's, you know, disassociating the taste and the association with having it with a particular food or a particular time of day. So again, you know, the hypnotherapy, you can break those, really the relationship with the alcohol. That's what you're doing. You're rewriting your relationship with the alcohol. But lots of people think it's just a habit, and then they actually find later that it's connected to stress. Often it's people are rushing around, and a quick way to switch off is to have a glass of wine or whatever it might be, because that then relaxes your muscles. So I think it is a habit, obviously, because you've learnt that behavior and you've reinforced it many, many times, but there's always other elements around it, why people are drinking. So it's getting to the root of the whole problem, really, and then unlocking it in the mind and breaking someone free. But it's very, very successful. And I mean, most of my clients, they drink between 1 and 3 bottles of wine per night. And then they'll have a goal to not drink in the week. And some of them will go on to not drinking at all. But what I do is I make the goal that we start with quite realistic, so they feel comfortable with the new change, and then reduce down some more, and then get comfortable with the next level. And then eventually people, they won't go back to the drinking when you've used the hypnotherapy, because you've had a fundamental shift in the subconscious. Whereas if you do the sort of dry January where you don't drink for the month, it's almost like you've been on a diet, but you've not actually changed the deep part. You've just abstained, but you haven't actually changed your relationship. So when people then drink again, they often slip back into old behavior, which is why that happens with diets as well. You know, with food, people lose the weight, and then when they start eating normally again, they slip back into the old. But the hypnotherapy is sort of, it's like putting a new software into your mind. So you actually eat and drink differently after you've had the hypnotherapy or listened to recordings. So
do you find, I know alcohol, I can't remember if it's 8 calories a gram or 9 calories per gram, but I know it's quite calorific. Do you find that when women do this hypnotherapy, they actually do lose weight just by stopping the alcohol?
yes, I mean, obviously a lot of calories. 2 glasses is the equivalent of a piece of cake. So people would maybe drink a bottle or 2 of wine, which is sort of like 2-4 pieces of cake a day, but they wouldn't obviously eat cake in that quantity. So when they stop drinking, yes, their calorie intake goes down. The other thing with the hypnotherapy, you can deal with those cravings so that they don't switch to something else, because often when people don't drink, they then just eat a biscuit, or sit with a packet of crisps or something. So it's about making sure that you've changed why the person's drinking, so they don't just switch that behavior to something else. Otherwise obviously they wouldn't lose weight. So yeah, but you can use it for all sorts of cravings. So some people have sugar cravings, some people have fatty food cravings, for sort of fried foods and things. So you can work on all things, and obviously that's good for preventing diabetes. Or even I've had clients where they've changed their diet, changed their drinking, and then their diabetes levels, their blood level changes completely and goes back to normal. So it can be used for everything really, in the way of what you're putting into your body.
Fantastic. And sometimes there's a lot of people who can't relax, like can't meditate and can't get to that point where they can really be in the moment. If you had that kind of client, how do you work with them? Do you start with a simple goal and just over time build it up? Or what I'm trying to ask is, are there some people that it doesn't work for, or are there ways to work around it for even people who struggle to relax and be in the moment?
A lot of people, when I start with them, they find it hard to relax. But the great thing about hypnotherapy, while the person's thinking about something else, it's a great opportunity to slip some suggestions into their subconscious. So I don't find that a problem. And if people listen to recordings at bedtime, they can just press the play and fall asleep. Most people don't actually hear what's in there, because that's part of hypnosis. It's a distraction. So your conscious mind is at rest, and that allows the unconscious changes to happen. So it's not really a problem. I've had over the years people who are they find it very hard to take an instruction, but again, that's fine, because I can get them to do something else while I'm again planting the suggestions. But the type of people who are more close to it are people who are like to be in control, or people who are very analytical, like solicitors or the police. They are often asking questions. They don't take the first thing you say as gospel. So often they actually resist. They ask you, why are you asking me to visualize that? Why are you doing this? But very early on, I kind of worked out those types of clients, so I could do other techniques to get around it. But I believe we're all changing all of the time, so it doesn't really make sense that people can't change. People may resist. You can have people who are, say, stopping smoking, and they may resist, but actually a week later or 2 weeks later, they'll find that the changes start to happen. There's that sort of rebellion in quite a lot of us from those teenage years, I think, but there's always a way to get around it.
Okay. And is meditation a type of hypnotherapy, or are they different in terms of what is happening in the brain?
Meditation is a state of peacefulness, whereas hypnotherapy, you take them into a relaxed state, but it's what you do with the time when you're in that state, which is making the direct changes. So the hypnotherapy is very direct, and you can direct it into any area. So you can direct it into work presentations for someone to have confidence, or sports, for them to perform better. Or if they've got a particular fear, it's often used for fears and phobias, you can direct it exactly where you want. So it feels similar to somebody who meditates. Hypnotherapy will feel very similar, but it's an altered state of awareness, the hypnotherapy. So it's almost like your conscious mind is over here, but your subconscious is there, and that's where you can slip the suggestions in. You can do it eyes open, so you don't need to feel particularly relaxed. And some people take time to get into the feeling of actually getting very relaxed, but the changes still happen. So they're picking up. Your subconscious mind is working all of the time, and it is picking up information.
Okay. I've heard the term before, guided imagery. Is that the same thing as hypnotherapy?
I use guided imagery, and hypnotherapists do use guided imagery a lot. It just gives the client something to focus on. There's, different suggestions, the different way we phrase sentences. Reframing the past is very popular as well, where someone's had a bad experience. They might have had a very embarrassing alcohol incident or something like that, that's causing them a lot of stress every time they're socializing, which makes them actually drink more. So you can reframe the past, release that negativity that's stored up, and then actually when they're out socially, they feel totally at ease and confident, and they don't need the drink. Because the past is obviously affecting who we are today. Everything's based on what we've already experienced.
How many sessions do people need until they're able to see it start working?
Well, most of my clients will have 2 to 4 phone appointments. I do those with people all over the world. And usually on the first session, they'll make a reduction, they will sleep better, and they'll be feeling much better. By the second one, we do slightly deeper work to get to the next level of things. And some people will make the changes in 2 sessions. Some will have 3 or 4. Generally, I'd say 3 to 4 is normal. And a few people have a few more sessions. But some people I've never met. I've sold tens of thousands of my Take Control of Alcohol recording and my Stop Binge Drinking for Women. And I've never met those people, but I do get emails, people saying, I've been drinking for 40 years and I've listened to your recording for, a month and a half or something. And, I've broken the habit. So it varies from person to person, but in my Feel Amazing app, there's lots of different recordings. So there's ones on confidence, which I recommend listening to those, because if you're changing your drinking, actually you're changing your relationship with how you interact and socialize. So that's useful. And I also have a new one called Amazing Menopause, which is to make you feel like you are just filled with positivity and vitality, and you find the right support for getting through the menopause, whether that's diet or HRT or whatever you need, because everyone's individual, but it gets your mind in the right mindset to be able to sleep well, release anxiety and fears, take back control of diet and drinking as well, and just get your body and mind in the right place. I mean, I think it's important to mention when you are going through the menopause, you actually have all the skills already to get through it, because you've lived a full enough life by that stage. And I think that's really important to remind yourself that you've been there, you've worn the t-shirt, you've watched the movie on all of it, and actually just to trust yourself that you can get through things and minimize your stress. Do as many things as you can just to coach your life and tease your life in the right direction, because you've built all the habits and experiences already. It's just sort of using them to your advantage, and think of your past supporting you rather than dragging you down. So
okay, and this menopause app that you spoke about, is that something you can just download on your phone?
Yeah, in the Feel Amazing app, there's 4 free recordings: Good Night's Sleep, Stop Worrying, De-Stress Your Life, and there's also a Fit and Well one. And then there's different topics. You have to buy a membership to get access to the other recordings. And the menopause one is in the women's wellbeing section, which also has comfortable sex and comfortable periods. And it has the birth one as well for women who are having children. And it's just a sort of section really to support women's particular needs, which are different to men, obviously. So, yes, so that you need a membership for, but it's lovely, and you can change the backing music, so you can have a different experience on a different day. You can sort of motivate yourself some days and chill out another day. So
yeah, it sounds fantastic. Well, why do you think women are drinking more when they're going through menopause? Do you have any insight into that?
I think what happens is, obviously, we build our drinking habits through our 20s, sometimes teens and 20s and 30s. And I think what happens once women get into 40s and 50s, they've got more stress. They've maybe had heartbreaks. They've got maybe dysfunctional teenagers, or maybe they've got, small children that, are difficult, or family problems or whatever. And I think what happens is you've built the habit of the drinking, but you've also got a lot of stress that's built up over that time. And then your body isn't processing the alcohol as efficiently as when you're in your 20s. So I think it's a combination of everything building up. And then, of course, with menopause, you feel tired, you can, feel hot, you can feel anxiety. And then women drink more to then alleviate those symptoms, to help them get to sleep, to release the anxiety. But of course, alcohol makes you feel relaxed when you start drinking it. But in the morning, you feel more anxious. So it's exactly the opposite of what you need to be doing for yourself. So I think it's a combination, but it's, people often drink just as a relaxation, and then, it makes them relax. They can get to sleep, but then you usually wake in the middle of the night. So if you're not drinking, you can sleep through the night. And then the hypnotherapy, as I said, will release anxiety, help you sleep, and all of those things. So then you get life back into balance. But I think it's, people drink to help themselves with problems, but then it creates the same problems they're trying to correct.
Yeah, and I think that's particularly true around sleep. I mean, I've heard even in the summit that alcohol can help you go to sleep, but it will wake you up in the middle of the night. And I think that's what women struggle so much with, is 2 o'clock and your eyes are wide open and your brain's going strong. So I think it can really help with that. What are some more of the benefits of drinking less?
I think the thing is that when you're drinking, you don't realize how much effect it's having on you until you reduce down or stop. It's like carrying a ball and chain around with you the whole time. So you will feel brighter in the morning, get more done. I mean, women are always up against it with time. They're pushed with the amount of time they've got. And actually, alcohol takes your time. You lose your evening, the whole evening goes. And so once you're not drinking, you sleep well, you wake up refreshed, you're more motivated, better time management, you get more done in less time, and then your evenings are your own and your weekends are your own. You've got a whole weekend. You're not going to feel sluggish for 3 hours on a Saturday morning. So that's really the benefit. And my clients they will just be so excited and look forward to not drinking. Their sort of new hobby is the excitement and good feeling of feeling revitalized and full of, energy. And I think at that age, you need that extra boost of energy as well. It's a time where, you want to feel like you're 30 and not like you're 50. So.
Excellent. That sounds good. I remember now that I have actually tried hypnotherapy before. I tried it when I was trying to conceive, and I found it I don't know if that's what helped me. I finally had a beautiful daughter, but I know that I did find it really relaxing. And I remember this lady had some recordings, and I did listen to them all the time, because she took you in a field, a meadow of beautiful flowers, and it was just totally relaxing. So you've got an offer for a free gift for our listeners. So tell us about, have you mentioned those recordings already?
Yes. So those free ones are in the app for people to listen to. And yes, it's really nice. You don't need to hear them. That's the great thing. Because again, as I said, women are pressed for time. And so you just press the play as you get into bed and you can fall asleep. Or if you're doing some yoga stretches or something like that, you can play it in the background as long as you're in a safe place. But I do really recommend, when people are changing their drinking, look at the hot spots of stress in your week, because people mindlessly go from one week to the next with the stress repeating, and you just follow into the next week and do the same old thing. So look at what's stressful. Is it the conversations you're having in your household? Is it, work? What is it? And a good thing for relationships, which is a lot of women's stress, I think, is to reduce everyone down, see them as a cartoon, see the funny side. A teenager becomes much more manageable in your head if you're actually laughing at them because they look like a comedy, or your boss looks much more manageable if you see them as a comedy. So, that's a little technique that you can do to help you reframe what's going on and start to pull away all the small issues in your life. And then actually the bigger problems start to dissolve naturally, because all our problems and stresses are just lots of small manageable things that we can sort out.
Excellent. That's a great tip. So before you go, you cover a lot of different things in your hypnotherapy. Is there another area that you help women with besides the drinking that might be relevant to this age group, the menopause age group?
I think another area is the comfortable sex, because obviously women's bodies change, their libido changes. And I've got a recording called Comfortable Sex for Women. It's a big topic. It's not really talked about. I think women's bodies go through lots of different changes, from periods, and then you've got, births and getting over pregnancies and all different areas in life. A woman's body's got this constant interruption. So the comfortable sex one really helps, whatever stage you're at. It really helps to iron out all the interruption to your body and your life, and just get you in tune with yourself, and get you naturally feeling enjoyable and sexy, and feeling that you feel good about yourself. So I think it's another great area that, it goes along with the alcohol as well. Often women drink to kind of get in the mood, or they get a bit drunk, which helps them to relax. And once you take away the alcohol, then you're just relying on yourself. So the comfortable sex one goes very to the menopause, for obvious reasons, women's bodies changing. So so I think that's another great one. And I've sold a lot of that recording to all different age groups of women, but it has great effects. I mean, I did have one client who, I hadn't met them, but they bought it, and they said that the husband said they didn't know what was in that recording, but carry on listening. So clearly it was working. So
excellent.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, so finally, if you had a top tip for navigating through menopause with confidence, what would your top tip be? You've told us a lot of them already, but see if you
I think listen to your needs. Really listen to your needs. Women put themselves at the bottom of the pile, for supporting everybody else. And I think listen to your needs. How do you want to feel when you wake up in the morning? What sort of a weekend would you like to have, so on a Monday you feel refreshed and revived? And I think women give. And I was in that situation myself, which is what brought me into hypnotherapy, where I gave to everybody. I didn't listen to my own needs. I was constantly being bombarded, and I ended up having a breakdown, losing custody of my daughter, who I didn't get back. And it was then that I realized I'd just been sorting everybody else out. And the best thing you can do for people is to say, you will work it out. Instead of being the solution to family, children, husbands, partners, whoever, you will sort it out. You have great skills, and you can sort it out. You're good at working things out. And when you say that to another person, they will then go away and say, oh, she says I can sort it out. Maybe I'll look for some solutions. So don't be the solution to everybody else. Start to protect your time. Put yourself first. If you're tired, rest. Go to bed early. Have a bath after work or a shower. Put a comfy tracksuit on. Have a sparkling water in a wine glass, not a glass of wine. Half of the wine is just that you're giving yourself permission to stop, and women feel guilty to stop. So start listening. At this stage of life, if you're not going to stop now and not start to take back who you are and live your life for you, when are you going to do that? It's your time now, and also, you've given so much. This is your time. You don't need to go through the younger responsibilities again. Start to just tweak your life and start to, tease it in the direction you want it to go, but have that confidence. Teach your children, people around you, that you're valuable too. So people respect you, but also they're learning something to respect their, wives later, if you've got sons, or, your daughters, that they will know later they need to prioritize themselves as well. So they're not a slave to their lives later. So I think that's my message.
That's
really
excellent. That was a great tip. Thank you so much. And lastly, where can people find you on social media?
So I'm at Ailsa Frank, Ailsa Frank. And also my website is ailsafrank.com. And I do have a book, My Cut the Crap and Feel Amazing by Hay House, which is fantastic. It's a guide to life. It covers everything. And it does have an addictions chapter in there as well, which is really useful to pick up some more tips from that too. So
fantastic. Well, thanks so much for sharing with us today. That was wonderful.
Thank you. It was wonderful to meet you. Thank you.
Okay, nice to meet you too. Bye-bye.